Greetings, cosmic voyagers, and welcome back to the channel where we decode the sun's fiery messages and their whispers across our planet. I'm your guide through the celestial currents, and this week, we're bracing ourselves for a period of both serene quiet and surprising jolts from our star. Get ready to understand the unseen forces shaping our skies and potentially our lives. Intriguing hook, the cosmos is never truly still. And this week, from January 5th to January 11th, 2026, the sun has a dynamic story to tell us. While the initial days may offer a deceptive calm, don't let your guard down. Our star is stirring, preparing to unleash pockets of enhanced solar wind and subtle geomagnetic disturbances that will test Earth's magnetic shield. This isn't a week of grand, catastrophic events, but rather a tense dance of subtle shifts and sudden accelerations. A classic space weather thriller where vigilance is key. General forecast for the week, looking ahead, the period from January 5th to January 11th, 2026, presents a moderate week for geomagnetic activity. We begin with a relatively calm atmosphere, a chance for Earth's magnetosphere to catch its breath after some earlier activity at the dawn of the new year. However, as the week progresses, we anticipate a building intensity, culminating in a period of active geomagnetic conditions around midweek, specifically on Friday and Saturday. While we don't foresee extreme high-level G-class storms this time, the KP index will rise, indicating notable disturbances driven by recurrent solar wind streams and potential lingering effects of past solar events. There will be clear windows of calm, but also moments where our planet's magnetic field will feel the sun's persistent gaze. Scientific briefing, understanding the sun's fury. Before we dive into the daily specifics, let's briefly demystify what we're talking about when we mention a magnetic storm. At its core, a magnetic storm, or geomagnetic storm, is a major disturbance of Earth's magnetosphere that occurs when there is a very efficient exchange of energy from the solar wind into the space environment surrounding Earth. These events originate from our sun's incredibly dynamic and often volatile surface. The primary triggers include SHAT, solar flares. These are sudden, intense bursts of radiation from the sun's surface. While the radiation itself reaches Earth in minutes, it can cause radio blackouts. However, the associated particle ejections are often what leads to geomagnetic storms. Coronal mass ejections, CMEs. These are massive expulsions of plasma and magnetic field from the sun's corona, hurtling billions of tons of solar material into space at speeds of millions of miles per hour. If directed towards Earth, a CME can collide with our magnetosphere, compress it, and inject energy, triggering a storm. Coronal holes. These are regions in the sun's corona where the magnetic field lines open into interplanetary space, allowing high-speed solar wind to escape. When these high-speed streams hit Earth, they can cause recurrent, often moderate, geomagnetic disturbances. To quantify the strength of these disturbances, we use two main scales: the KP index, planetary K-index. This is a global average of geomagnetic activity measured over a 3-hour period. It ranges from 0, very quiet, to 9, extremely severe storm. A KP of 5 or higher generally signifies a geomagnetic storm. G levels, geomagnetic storm scale. This is a 5-step scale, G1 to G5, established by NOAA, directly correlated with the KP index. G1, minor, corresponds to KP5, G2, moderate to KP6, and so on, up to G5, extreme, for KP9. These levels help us understand the potential impacts on technology and infrastructure. For instance, a G1 storm can cause minor impacts on power grids and satellite operations, while a G5 can lead to widespread power outages and severe disruptions. For our forecast this week, we'll primarily be in the KP's 2-4 range, indicating unsettled to active conditions, but not typically reaching G1 storm levels. W. Calendar of magnetic storms for the week. January 5th, January 11th, 2026. Let's meticulously track the cosmic forces influencing our planet day by day. Monday, January 5th. A brief respite, KP23, quiet to unsettled. As our week begins, Earth settles into a relatively calm period. Following the tail end of geomagnetic activity from earlier in the new year, the solar wind speeds are expected to gradually decline. We anticipate quiet to unsettled conditions, with the KP index hovering around 2 to 3. This is a day for Earth's magnetic field to stabilise, offering a peaceful start to the working week. For most, this means minimal impact on health or technology, a window of cosmic tranquility. Tuesday, January 6th. Continued calm, KP 1 to 2, quiet. Tuesday is forecast to remain largely quiet. The geomagnetic field should exhibit very low activity, with the KP index likely staying at 1 or 2. This suggests a serene environment in space, with no significant solar wind disturbances or incoming CMEs affecting our planet. Enjoy this period of calm, as it provides a stable backdrop for sensitive systems and for those who are typically more susceptible to space weather effects. Wednesday, January 7th. A hint of change, KP 1, 2, quiet. Much like Tuesday, Wednesday continues with quiet geomagnetic conditions. KP values are expected to remain low at 1 or 2. However, a slight shift in the solar wind environment might begin to hint at changes on the horizon. While not strong enough to cause any noticeable effects, it's a subtle precursor to the increased activity later in the week. Think of it as the quiet before a distant rumble. Thursday, January 8th. Gathering energy, KP 2 to 3, mostly quiet to unsettled. As we approach the latter half of the week, we start to see the first signs of escalating activity. The KP index may subtly climb to 2 or 3, indicating unsettled conditions. This slight increase is likely due to the initial arrival of a high-speed stream from a recurring coronal hole, subtly buffeting Earth's magnetosphere. While still below storm levels, this is a day where sensitive individuals might start to feel minor effects, and there's a marginal increase in the background hum of space weather. Friday, January 9th. The first surge, KP4, active conditions. This is one of the more active days of the week. We are forecasting a notable increase in geomagnetic activity, with the KP index reaching 4. This elevated activity will be driven by the more direct influence of a high-speed solar wind stream emanating from a coronal hole on the Sun. This stream will effectively stir our planet's magnetosphere, leading to active conditions. While a KP of 4 is considered active and not a full G1 storm, it can still trigger minor disruptions for very sensitive systems, and those prone to space weather effects might experience noticeable changes in well-being. Expect some fluctuations in the magnetic field as Earth navigates this cosmic turbulence. Saturday, January 10th. The peak of the disturbance, KP4, active conditions. Saturday marks the other significant day of elevated activity, mirroring Friday's conditions with a KP index also reaching 4. The effects of the high-speed solar wind stream will continue to be prominent, maintaining active geomagnetic conditions. This 2-day stretch, Friday and Saturday, represents the most intense period of the week, with our magnetosphere under constant, though moderate pressure. While aurora enthusiasts at higher latitudes might catch a glimpse of the northern lights, for many, the primary concern will be the physiological and technological impacts of these active space weather conditions. Sunday, January 11th. Waning activity. KP 2 to 3, unsettled to quiet. As the weekend draws to a close, the Sun's direct influence is expected to begin waning. The KP index should start to decline, returning to unsettled or quiet levels, likely around 2 or 3. The high-speed stream will gradually dissipate, allowing Earth's magnetic field to slowly recover its equilibrium. While lingering effects might still be present in the early hours, Sunday offers a return to calmer space weather, allowing for a more peaceful conclusion to the week. Possible consequences. The fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field, even at moderate levels, are not without their consequences. We must consider the ripple effects across both biological and technological realms. For meteo-sensitive people, individuals sensitive to changes in atmospheric and geomagnetic conditions may experience a range of symptoms. During active periods KP4, expect potential headaches, migraines, increased irritability, mood swings, and general fatigue. Sleep patterns can be disrupted, leading to insomnia or restless sleep. For those with pre-existing cardiovascular conditions, there's a risk of blood pressure fluctuations and increased strain on the heart, so extra caution is advised. Impact on technology. While a KP4 isn't expected to cause widespread blackouts, it can still affect sensitive systems. GPS and GLONASS navigation systems might experience minor inaccuracies or signal degradation, especially during the peak active periods. Satellite communications could see intermittent disruptions. Power grids, particularly in higher latitudes, might experience minor fluctuations, though modern systems are largely resilient to this level of activity. Radio communications, especially high-frequency bands, could also be affected, leading to static or temporary outages. Practical recommendations. Given the fluctuating nature of this week's space weather, here are some practical steps to minimize potential impacts. For your health. 1. Hydrate regularly. Drink plenty of water throughout the day, especially during active periods. This helps maintain overall physiological balance. 2. Prioritize sleep. Stick to a regular sleep schedule, aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality rest. A well-rested body is more resilient to external stressors. 3. Monitor your diet. Opt for lighter, easily digestible meals and avoid heavy fatty foods, excessive caffeine and alcohol, particularly on January 9th and 10th. 4. Reduce stress. Engage in relaxation techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, or light exercise to manage any increased irritability or anxiety. 5. Consult your doctor. If you have chronic conditions, especially cardiovascular issues, consider consulting your physician about specific precautions during periods of geomagnetic activity. For your technology and home. 1. Check navigation. If relying on GPS for critical travel, consider alternative navigation methods or verify routes with maps during peak activity days. 2. Backup. Important data. While unlikely, severe solar events can impact electronics. Ensure important digital data is backed up. 3. Unplug sensitive electronics. For older or highly sensitive electronics, consider unplugging them during the most active hours, especially on January 9th and 10th, as a precautionary measure against minor power fluctuations. 4. Stay informed. Keep an eye on reputable space weather forecasts for real-time updates, as solar activity can change rapidly. Important warning plus farewell. Remember, space weather forecasting is an evolving science, and our predictions are based on the best available data. The Sun is a dynamic and unpredictable star, and conditions can change rapidly. This forecast provides a valuable snapshot, but always stay tuned to official space weather alerts for the most up-to-date information. The universe is a powerful, beautiful, and sometimes volatile place, and understanding its rhythm helps us navigate our journey through it. Don't let these cosmic currents catch you unprepared. If you found this forecast insightful, please hit that like button, share this video with fellow space enthusiasts, and subscribe to our channel for your regular dose of celestial wisdom and thrilling space weather updates. Until next time, keep looking up and stay safe under the watchful eye of the sun.